The important thing to understand here is that Smartmatic has its office in Caracas, and it's co-located with the Consejo National Electoral, the National Electoral Commission. And there's 150 Smartmatic engineers and 150 C&E engineers side by side. And they have two missions. Number one, steal elections. Number two, defeat audit. Study audit. How do different states and different localities conduct audit so that when they're audited, you defeat audit? An example, when people put absentee ballots on a scanner, it'll take a picture and take a picture and take a picture. And then when it's about to save them, it gets ready to take a picture of almost 100 together. But what it does is they erase that picture, send in another picture, because all these machines are connected to the internet. They're all hooked up. They're not supposed to be. A new picture comes in, 100 votes or 90% for the person that they want. Mm-hmm. But when you do the audit, you're not allowed to look in the box. You have to look at the screens. They've changed the rules around the country in the different states that make it almost impossible to show that they cheated because of, and what they do also is they'll make proprietary the source code. You can't examine that. You can't look at different types of technologies proprietary because that's where they're cheating. And they blocked those individuals very cleverly. One of the things that we learned is there's 14 different technical ways that you can steal an election. And they're operating off different parts of the machinery, but they can use number 1 and number 3, number 6 and number 7. They can use combinations, and they never use the same combinations in adjacent districts.
So that you can't find patterns.
They prepare an election a year in advance. Yeah. They have the poll books. They have hundreds of people. They have statisticians. They have comms engineers, software engineers. This was the science of engineer theft and a multi-billion-dollar business globally.
Yeah. And that's what you document in this book is how they have, it started in Venezuela, and yes, it's spread to the United States, but they have stolen elections all over the world.
Yes, that's correct.
In fact, there's that famous video on YouTube of the Philippines Parliament, right, when they excoriate a man called Haida Garcia, who's a member an employee of Smartmatic.
Yes, that's correct.
And they know that their election has been stolen. Mm-hmm. They know Smartmatic is responsible. And I mean, that guy sits there and he gets beaten up by the parliament in the Philippines. And then they banish him, right? They kick him out of the country. And where does he go? He ends up in Tarrant County,
Fort Worth, Texas.
Now,
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Which
is
is
the election commissioner.
Yes.
Now
as
he's
the
in
election
Dallas,
commissioner.
Right?
Now he moved up. Then he moved to Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's the president of Hart Intercivic, I believe.
Yeah, which is another, they give it another company. It's Hart Intercivic or it's Smartmatic or it's Sequoia or it's Dominion.
Right.
But they all use the same
business.
software. And the best part is, the first election that he runs in Texas, he had a county that had been red for 67 years straight. And in one election cycle, he flipped it blue.
Well, it shows you how far they've penetrated our election system. So these engineers and they're they end up running elections in all these counties. They take over. They that's part of their contract. And so they develop expertise and they learn how to penetrate our system. They learn how to hide the results. And they've been doing this since 2008.
Do they get help from the U.S.?
Yes,
they do get help.
Let me talk for a second about how the investigation begins. In 2020, I am with my business partner, and we do asset recovery. We were studying and doing filings against the Cartel del Solis, the largest criminal cartel in the world, drug
which
trafficking,
is Venezuelan,
which is the Venezuelan regime. And
Cartel of the Suns,
yes,
right?
And it's called the Cartel of the Suns is because it's the Venezuelan army. They have suns on their epaulets, not stars. So the Venezuelan army is the logistical arm of the cartel, and it's led by Nicolas Maduro, the president. The president of Venezuela is the cartel leader, all right? So we're doing this investigation on the filing, and we see the election happen, and I turn to my business partner. His name is Martin Rodil. He's a Venezuelan initially. He's got a green card now, living in the United States, and he's a genius. And
this is 2020?
This is 2020. And he turns to me and says, I was involved in an investigation years ago, and Smartmatic was stealing elections in Venezuela. And I'm sure they were. And he gave me some information. We said, let's look this up and start looking at these things.
Well, there were a lot of people in Venezuela who felt that, right? I mean, there were protests and there was an uprising and backlash against it. Because the Venezuelans didn't believe the election result.
So within a couple of days, we had an individual in Miami contact us. It was a university professor in Venezuela that had trained many of the people that were working for Smartmatic. And he told us the story of how they were stealing elections. And he knew quite a bit. Then he introduced us to an actual employee of Smartmatic. And that individual had a family member that was involved, and he was murdered by the company. And that story was unbelievable. And then we met another, and we went through human, the two of us. Martine Rodil, my business partner, is one of the most capable people on the planet.
Very well respected.
And very, very brave. And the regime hates him. And we went from source to source and grew the knowledge bigger and bigger and bigger. And almost for 2 years we did this. And then finally we thought we need help because we're getting a larger number of sources. So we sought out General Mike Flynn because he's a good friend and he's a patriot.
Great man.
And when we met General Flynn, he took us to a place and we met with him and a man by the name of Patrick Byrne. And
Yes,
Patrick Byrne.
I know Patrick.
Patrick Byrne is the man that ultimately financed this. None of this would have been possible for us to
If he hadn't put the
recruit
money up.
a dozen of these things, to pay for all. We built a computer lab. It was just unbelievable. We got images of elections that were released by courts so we could practice with them and the engineers. And so we got members from not just Smartmatic, but from Dominion, from other companies, all these people that did this. And we literally had a computer lab outside the United States. We built it in one place and then built it in another place because when we went and tried to get help in the United States, we went to the FBI, to an FBI officer in Washington, D.C.
How'd that work out?
And when we briefed the FBI officer and they saw that, they said, Mr. Berntsen, you need to flee the city. The FBI, my supervisors, if they see this, will find a way to destroy this, and they will charge you with crimes of some type to stop you. And I didn't think that was funny. And I said, we're not fleeing. And that FBI officer said, look, you need to help us because I know what you're doing. I understand you're trying to save the country. Go to the Congress and go to the media. They'll help you. Well, we went to the media. We went to, and I'm not going to say the names, but we went to some pretty well-known journalists who didn't want any part of us. Didn't want to. We showed them what we had. And they go, that's shocking, but I'm afraid my company won't let me report this. And when we went to the Congress, they were afraid.
Should have come to me.
They
Gary.
wouldn't have helped. They wouldn't help us. One politician in America was not afraid.
Who was
Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma.
Yes.
He's a real man, that guy.
He's a real man.
He is a hell of a guy.
Also went and rescued people in Afghanistan.
He's a hell of a guy. And when he saw it, but it took us years to get to him.
Yeah.
And all this time, Patrick Byrne and all these engineers are, engineering and re-engineering and moving country and doing all of this stuff.
Well, Patrick is kind of a savant.
And Mike Flynn, though, was a real hero because Flynn believed in us, went to see the engineers. He didn't want to just believe us. Flynn wanted to talk to the engineers. He was like, these are the real engineers. Yeah. They built the damn system,
See,
these people.
That was the unique
They
part
built
about
the source
their
code.
investigation is that they had got the guys, they had recruited the people who built the source code, who were running the system, who were running elections, right? So they could tell them, you could go to them and say, how did you steal this election? And they go, okay, we did it this way.
Listen, you know what? That's called a first-hand source.
Yes, it is.
First-hand source.
9 months before the election, we think, okay, this isn't working out with the journalists. This is not working out with the Congress. You bloody people don't want to help us.
Again, Gary, you went to the wrong journalist.
Right. So let's go to, there was one U.S. attorney in the country that we knew. And that U.S. attorney was a brave guy. He was a smart guy. I don't want to say his name because he's involved in investigations that are important right now on this. And we went to him and we did the full brief with our attorneys with us. We brought 3 of our attorneys. We sat in front of a U.S. attorney and 3 AUSAs and did the full show for 3.5 hours, showed the technology, the whole thing. And they took unbelievable notes. And they said, okay, stand pat. We're going to report all of this to the Office of Public Integrity. And probably within 3 to 4 weeks, the FBI will contact you and work with you on this. They never contacted us. They decided to pursue us and investigate us. Shame on them.